You and I have both met with the Fed on several occasions, all throughout the years, and there are a lot of really smart people in that building, down in New York and down in Eckes building in DC, and obviously the Boston Fed. Why do they believe this? Like, what is their fundamental underlying core belief system that is causing them to look through super core inflation in the threes, or housing inflation in the fives, or very clearly an inflationary impulse that's being shocked through markets that ultimately filter into the economy?
Well, I think it's a difference between the academics' interpretation of markets and models and the practitioner's interpretation, and that's really what it comes down to. I mean, the language around very restrictive, I think, is a great indication of how divergent, let's say, a practitioner's view is from what the board analysts are telling the Fed. And the reason why that is because, the Fed will say, hey, look, if I look at, short-term real rates, or I look at, the current level of interest rates, it looks very restrictive because it's high relative to some other measures. And then the practitioner looks at it, it's like, stocks are at all-time highs, spreads are at all-time lows, the unemployment rate is very low by any reasonable standard, growth is above potential and has been for 2 years, GDP gap is at the highest it's been in 25 years. You're like, that does not look restrictive to me. Measure it by its way, not by its theory. And so I think that's the core divergence. I think other people will have more conspiracy oriented views of why they're interpreting things as very restrictive, or have a dovish tilt right now. I would not underweigh the lack of pragmatism in terms of thinking about what's going on here. Remember, Chairman Powell said when they started the hiking cycle, when interest rates were at 2%, he said they were restrictive. Like, just think about how confused that way of thinking is relative to what's actually going on.
No, 100%, man. It's very clearly unrestrictive. You go back to you cited a lot of things in the financial markets and the economy that very clearly indicate that the Fed has, in our opinion, has never really truly achieved a restrictive policy rate in this particular business cycle.